Binge the full week of The Ray Taylor Show ad-free over at inspireddisorder.com/plus.
This is The Ray Taylor Show.
Players, Season 1, currently streaming on Paramount Plus. It is a Paramount Plus exclusive. This coming from the creative team that brought us American Vandal 1, Season 1, and Season 2. And bringing that same documentary style, mockumentary style, in the authentic view of mockumentaries, as it were, not the satirical mockumentary that we see everywhere, or doc style that we see everywhere. These flesh out in a way that feel like authentic documentaries, but instead of the subject matter being true crime, as American Vandal was, Players is taking on esports, which is a topic that I am very unfamiliar with. I'm aware of esports. I am just not a consumer of esports. I've never actually watched esporting event in any way. But regardless, I was a huge fan of American Vandal 1 and 2. I was a huge fan of how they made these mockumentaries feel authentic, like authentic documentaries. Unlike the majority of mockumentaries out in the world that are clearly fictional, these are produced in a way, acted, written in a way that feels like an authentic documentary. This feels like a sports documentary, which I am a fan of that type of subgenre of documentaries. But this one, of course, being about esports, being about a specific team in the esporting world, which is all fictional. Despite how real everything feels, despite the performances, despite the writing, everything about this feels real. The way it's produced, the way it's shot, everything feels like an authentic, real documentary. But it's all fictional, which I appreciate that, because they're able to tell stories and cram in so much information, but not having to worry about a traditional narrative in any way. Just telling it in a story form, telling it in this documentary form. I think they're able to cram in a lot of things. And because, obviously, since it is written, since it is fictional, they're able to craft interesting stories. They're able to manipulate the events in ways, actual documentaries try to do, but they actually can pull it off. And this one I love in so many ways, because as it goes, there are many terms and words and sounds that come out of people's mouths because of my ignorance and because of my age. I just don't know what these people are saying, like wombo combo and just the terminology, the vernacular of esports is way over my head. But one of the things this documentary, the show, does is, as you watch it, as the episodes roll on, it uncovers things, it explains things, it gives things context, and brings them. They kind of recontextualize these things in a way to where, even though I'm watching gameplay of League of Legends, is the game that this team competes playing, in these tournaments, this professional gaming team. Despite the fact I'm not unfamiliar with the game, how the game is played, I am still emotionally invested watching the gameplay, but also because I've spent so much time understanding and getting to know all of these different characters, all of these different members of this team, Team Fugitive. And not only do I get to know all the different people involved that are this underdog team, but getting to know why they are there, where they're coming from, understanding why they're an underdog team, despite the fact when this show starts, it feels like they are on the precipice of greatness. The show intentionally makes you feel and assume certain things about certain events and certain characters, and through the course of the season reframes everything. while not only just reframing it, but also giving backstory and context and everything. And because it's a documentary, they're able to jump between times of like when this group was being formed, where they're at now, what they're struggling with now as like more of a veteran team that's never really had their due, but just drafted this up-and-comer prodigy who comes from the solo gaming world. So he's having problems fitting into more of a team atmosphere, but also coming from the streaming world versus the pro gaming world, which this show also does a great job at illustrating the differences between those two and how one of their players, Guru, left the team to start his own brand and to become a streamer, and how he is now making like the monetary gain of being a independent streamer versus being somebody who's competing in like a profession version of the gaming world, how like monetarily they can be vastly different, which is similar in everything. It's like being a freelancer versus working at a job. Like there is so much more opportunity for success when you are independent, but it's also all that weight is on you. So I absolutely love this show. As I got addicted to American Vandal season 1 and season 2, despite how much I love those and the fact that they kind of took on the true crime type of documentary, but planted it within high school, and we're able to execute it in such an authentic and real way, how they're able to translate all of those things, all of those qualities to essentially a sports documentary. I loved it, and I got just as sucked in. I fell in love with these characters. By the end, I am authentically, even though I know this is fake, it's just like I get so invested. Like I got emotional towards the end. The last episode, the beginning of the last episode of this season, I was crying. I was so invested in these characters, in this tournament that they're going, where they're trying to redeem themselves, competing against people, trying to prove that they are, worthy, that underdog story, but also knowing the complexities of the team, the complexities and the hurdles and the obstacles that they had to overcome. Let's take a little break from the Ray Taylor Show to promote my live art streams. That's right, I am an artist as well as a podcaster, and I paint live every Thursday at 4:20 Pacific time. Head on over, the best place ever for streaming, youtube.com/inspired disorder. That's right, every Thursday at 4:20, you can watch me paint the many faces. Every week, I paint 7 new faces of abstract portraits, ink on paper, and you can watch that happen. You can hang out with me while I listen to a classic episode from one of my favorite podcasts. Head on over to youtube.com/inspired disorder and check it out. Say hi, let's hang out, let's have some fun, and let's paint some faces. Now let's get back to the show. The coach is amazing. I love the coach, Braxton. He is like the best coach, even though he plagiarizes speeches, admittingly plagiarizing speeches to motivate. The pep talks that he has are great, but even the ones that feel authentic, I don't know if they're all plagiarized, but it's like so well written, this show, that like he feels like an authentic coach, somebody who came from the team, who was a participant in the team, who was a player, who took on the role of coach. How like these people through the evolution of their careers and this team all kind of took certain roles within the team to kind of come together and perform and rise above. And it's like they all become family at some point. And that's what their team is, kind of has the feeling of anyway. There's the up-and-comer organism who's like this quiet guy who's not used to being in a team, and you see how he grows, is managed by his brother. There's a relationship that is formed with Organism's brother, his older brother, who's like his manager, and him being friends with, was it Nightshade? Let's see, what is the the relationship that Organism's bro Nightfall's family, another one of the players, Korean player, they go over to have dinner one episode, and he falls in love, and the relationship that Organism's bigger brother has with Nightfall's family is amazing. Like, it's probably one of my favorite aspects of it. It's a very small aspect of this show, but probably one of my more favorite aspects of it. And then we have like Cream Cheese. Cream Cheese is kind of like, it's this documentary is not only focused on the team Fugitive, but a lot of that is Cream Cheese, kind of like the head guy, the guy that started Fugitive, that is the Fugitive. And we see why the team is called Fugitive. We see why he's called Cream Cheese. His name used to be Nutmilk. And you have all of these assumptions why he was these different things, why it's named that way, why his name was Nutmilk. And like so many things, so many aspects of the show, when you find out the origins of these, when you get the context for all of these things, it's great. It just it feels good. That's why I love the writing of this show. Is like, I can't imagine. It's like mind blowing to think of how just the complexity of telling a story, a compelling story, but telling it in a way where it's shot and produced like a documentary, how they're able to do it so well. Like, it's such a perfect level where everything, the only part of this entire show that feels at all fake is the crowd shots. Anytime they're showing the crowd, it feels fake, but also crowds watching shows that, like, crowds that know they're being filmed. Like, you know, you get the wide shots of the late night shows and things like that. They all kind of feel fake. They don't feel like they're necessarily giving their honest reactions, which, if you've ever been in one of those audiences, they aren't. I remember I was at a taping for a Comedy Central show many, many years ago, and I was in the audience, and it is completely fake crowd shots. Like, after they recorded everything, they had the crowd do just like fake cheering at different levels of cheering so that they can cut them in, not only cut in the visuals of the crowd giving these fake cheers, but also the audio to make the jokes seem like they landed harder. Like, it is amazing how fake, like, reality type shows are. Like, even like interview shows. It's crazy. So the only part of this entire show that feels at all fake are the crowd shots, but even that has an ounce of a realism to it, how fake crowd shots tend to be anyway. But yeah, it's such a great show. I absolutely loved it. Some of the things that kind of get reframed and answered throughout the show, Nutmilk, as I said, Fugitive, how that comes about, Axe Bros, Never Lost, and then what happened with different characters that left the team, why they left the team, and you see all of the different things that have affected Cream Cheese, this leader of the team, in so many ways. With, like, he forms these bonds with people and then they leave, and it's like so, like, insulting how some of these people leave. And even there's a character, right? There's this love interest that he had, this girlfriend that he had that left, and it's like clearly this big thing that they don't even get into till later on in the season. And of course, the actress that plays his ex is the same actress that plays the ex-girlfriend in the TV show Dave, which I love. Dave, one of my favorite shows, a show about Lil Dicky, a rapper, and her character in that show and this show are so similar. They leave their partners for very similar reasons, because their partners are narcissistic and care only about success in their chosen fields. In Dave, It is his focus and obsession with rapping and becoming the best ever. And in this show, it is Cream Cheese and his obsession with playing this game and being one of the best professional gamers, and how she is constantly put on the back burner and ignored. And it's kind of great. It was kind of like a fun aspect of the show to see her back. Her character's name in Dave is Allie, but in this show, her actress name is Taylor Misiak. She's on Dave, 10-Year-Old Tom, Players. I guess she was in American Vandal too. I didn't know that. It's been a while since I've watched those. But kind of weird, kind of being pigeonholed into this character of girlfriend that leaves guys that are obsessed with being the greatest ever in their chosen fields. But even that relationship with Cream Cheese and her is like it's just as, in some ways, just as brutal emotionally. I feel sad. Like it's an issue that I've experienced in my life, maybe not to the same extent. I definitely haven't garnered the type of success that either of those characters had, but I've definitely lost relationships because of putting my work first in all ways. Where one of the reasons I'm single now is because I know that I can't put somebody else in. They're always going to be number two. Maybe not always, but where I'm at right now, I can't do that. I don't want to blame them or have anger towards them in any way for me not gaining success because I didn't put everything into my goals. Either way, I love that she showed up. Let's take a little break from the show to promote The Many Faces. That's right, I am also an artist. I do ink paintings on paper of abstract faces. A new face, a new painting gets released every single day over at inspireddisorder.com. So head on over to my website to purchase original artwork directly from the artist. Also, there are prints available for select images. Head on over to inspireddisorder.com, buy original art, buy prints if that's your jam, if you want 8x10 prints on high quality paper. Also, if you're looking to wear some art, there are shirts available with original artwork by myself. Select faces from The Many Faces are also available in t-shirt form. You go to inspireddisorder.com, you buy original artwork, you buy prints, you buy shirts. You're supporting an artist directly. And if you're the type of person that likes to invest in NFTs, there are also NFTs available for select faces. Go to inspireddisorder.com now. And now let's get back to the show. This also deals with what it's like for the team to get bought out and to get like corporate sponsorships and all, not necessarily corporate sponsorships, but to get new ownership of the team. And what it was like when they first gave that up, and when they have this, they end up getting a second opportunity. How that turns out, I absolutely loved it. It really shines a light on an industry I had no idea. Probably educated me just as much as a real documentary would on the world of esports. It feels like, anyway. I don't know. I mean, obviously, I'm ignorant, so I don't know how authentic it is. But it has that feeling of like, oh, I get it. It makes a lot of sense. The whole streaming world versus professional world, the pitfalls for each, the trials of each, and how this season ends leaves it open so much for a season 2. And not in the same way American Vandal season 2, where it was a completely different story, where like this show could easily continue on into a season 2 and continue this journey for Cream Cheese to fulfill his destiny as being one of the greats, but also to be teamed back up with the person that he feels like completes him, which is Organism, who quits, which is amazing. Obviously, small spoilers, but how there's a rift that happens and how he becomes part of the Neverlost team and how that is technically true and did it in the same way Guru did, but like under completely different circumstances. Like the bond that Organism had with Cream Cheese was completely different. They were like the number 1 and 2. It's more similar to when Foresight left, when Organism left. But the fact that he was able to leave after having just won a championship and can claim the label Never Lost and then be part of the Never Lost team, and how that's almost like going to the dark side. But for him, he's obsessed with being the best, and the differences in how the game performs on servers in Korea makes it so you can only be labeled the best and the most elite if you are competing on that ground level Korean server performance. So a season 2 would, I don't know, it wouldn't have as much of going back into things, right? It probably wouldn't jump back and forth as this one does, where it's jumping back to the beginning times of. It would be more of just a reality show in some ways, because it would just be following these two's journey. I don't know. There's nothing been announced as far as a second season, but it really feels like it's setting up for a second season in some way. I don't know. I absolutely loved the show. I thought it was so well done. I really enjoyed the characters. I really enjoyed the acting. The guy who plays Cream Cheese, Misha Brooks, he's great. Braxton, played by Eli Henry, he is great as well. I absolutely love both of those characters. I thought they nailed it. I mean, even Organism, he only has to play like this quiet dude, but still good. DeJour Jones plays Organism. But yeah, I absolutely love the show. I hope there's a second season. And if not, I am still going to follow these creators, these people that made the show, Dan Perrault and Tony Yacenda. Like, whatever they do, I will be watching, because it's like the quality level of all three of the shows that I've seen from them so far are they've mastered it out of the gate. Like, they really haven't had to, aside from changing the type of fake documentary they do, like, it doesn't feel like there's a whole lot of room for improvement. They're like working at an elite level on all three of these shows. So I highly recommend checking it out. If you have not seen American Vandal, check those out. I believe both seasons are on Netflix. And if you have seen American Vandal and you want to see another documentary style show, it's on Paramount Plus. It's called Players, Season 1, streaming now. Highly recommend checking it out. New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on YouTube and everywhere our podcasts are found. Binge the full week over at inspireddisorder.com/plus. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at inspireddisorder.com. And follow the show on Instagram at Ray Taylor Show. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!
Today is the day where you wake up and you realize that everything that you've been dreaming about, everything that you've been wanting, every goal and wish and hope that you've ever had can become real. Dreams can come true. What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.